Have you noticed that you feel like maybe you're not as patient as you could be? Well, if you have, stick around because that's what we're talking about today. Hey guys, it's Wendy Kennedy here. Have you noticed that people have less patience today than ever? I've noticed this even in myself. If I am not taking time for my practices, if I'm not taking time to breathe, to heart center, that my patience is diminished greatly. So I recently asked the guides to sit down and chat about this, as well as share a galactic light code with you. So without further ado, here is the 9th Dimensional Pleiadian Collective on patience. Yes, hello dears. This is the 9th Dimensional Pleiadian Collective, and it is a pleasure and an honor to have the opportunity to connect with you. And today we are very excited to talk to you about patience. And it is something that you are all being tasked with at the moment. You're being asked to call on your reserves for you to be patient in the moment. And truly what that means is that you are completely, wholly, and totally accepting of the moment. And there are several things that keep you from being in that point of acceptance. The first one is control. That somehow you feel that you have to, with your mind, control and manipulate events in order to get a particular outcome. The moment that you try to control the flow of energy, you are actually impeding energy. All right, you're not allowing that energy to come in. You're restricting it because your part in the process of manifestation is to focus on the frequency. The universe determines the form. So the moment that you have the expectation of form, you miss within your perspective all the other opportunities that frequency can show up. The form might look different, but the essence of it is the same. And to the soul, you really don't care what the form is as long as the vibrational experience is a match for you. So the ego says it's got to look this way, and that means you use a lot of personal energy to get things done. That's very, very depleting, which is the other aspect that leads to impatience. When you are energetically depleted, if you are not taking care of yourself, if you are not putting yourself back on the list to make sure that you are doing things that allow you to fill up with source energy, things like breathing. That sounds silly, but if you are not consciously breathing, then you're probably not getting enough energy flow and oxygen into the body, because most of you are living from a stress-filled perspective, a stress-filled state. Your sympathetic nervous system is running on overdrive, and when that happens, you hold your breath or you breathe in a very shallow way, and this creates health issues for you all. It creates a different biochemistry for you all. And when you are making sure that you are doing things like breathing and meditating and heart centering yourself, that actually shifts your biochemistry. It allows you to breathe deeply. We call breath the great connector because it moves things in the energetic field as well as in the physical body, and that allows source energy to once again flow through you. Again, patience means having a total and complete acceptance of the moment. That means that there is no judgment that something is good, bad, right, or wrong. It just is. It is a vibrational selection. And when you are not judging, all right, you haven't polarized, you're allowing all of source energy to come into the body, all right, to fill you back up. The moment you go back into your head and you make something good, bad, right, or wrong, you polarize to an extreme, you, by virtue of the game that you're playing, want to make yourself separate from that polarity. So in other words, if you say, this thing over here is good, I want to avoid this thing over here that's bad. I don't like it. I want to make myself separate from it. That is actually part of source energy. And you are cutting off the flow of half of source energy when you do that. You are no longer living in an infinite reality. You are living in a finite reality. The illusion of it anyway. And that's all the programs up in your head. But when you move back to the heart center, you are operating from a perspective of infinite reality, all right? That there are infinite possibilities, that there is an infinite amount of energy available to you, and you allow it to flow unimpeded once again because you are not judging in any way. In order to be fully present in the moment, you have to be heart-centered. In order to be heart-centered, you have to be in the moment. They are one and the same. The challenge comes for you all in that you won't stay there. You move out of the heart and back up to the head because of your social conditioning. All right, so it takes practice to get you back to the heart, and the more you practice, the more you recognize it when you're not in it, so you can make that adjustment, and the longer you will stay there each and every time, and hopefully your frequency increases. Your vibration increases every time as you heart center. You're able to go to a deeper level of that connection, and you're able to sustain it for a longer amount of time. So when it comes to patience, you have to let go of the idea of control or the need to figure everything out 20 steps in advance. All you need to do is focus on frequency. You need to be able to take care of your own needs, all right? That you are speaking your own truth, that you're being your authentic self, that you are taking time for yourself. Because if you are energetically depleted, the moment anyone asks you for anything, you all go into reaction. It's a protection mechanism because, again, you're back in this mindset of a finite version of reality, and they're asking you for more, and there are no more resources available, all right? But if you simply put yourself in your heart center, then that energy can flow through you and it can go right back out. It nurtures you in the process. So if somebody is asking for something, even if your reserves are low, if you're having patience and acceptance of the moment, then that source energy comes in, it fills you up, and then it also is able to flow through you. So it's not that you can't retain any of that energy. It actually nurtures you in the process of being of service to others. All right, so those are the two really big things that we see for most of you in terms of patience. That expectation that things are supposed to happen in a certain way and at a certain time, that's the ego trying to control. And when you want to control in such a manner, it's like you trying to see a bigger view of the earth from space while you're standing down on the planet. It just can't happen. And Source is able to see all of the subtle nuances and to put the right people together at the right time in order for you to have the highest growth experience as well as to be of the greatest service. So let go of that perspective and just trust in the flow of the moment. All right, so we want to present you here with a language of light activation as well as a galactic light code to help you to align with the frequencies of patience. Now, if this is your first time working with the language of light, it is Source's language. There are variations, dialects, if you will, of this language. All life understands it, and it is comprised of light, photonic energy, sound, sacred geometry, and cosmic information. It speaks directly to you, the divine being of light, having this physical experience. So as you are hearing the language as it's spoken, the mind, the ego, cannot get involved because it doesn't understand. So it can't pick it apart. But the soul understands, and it resonates with the soul. And it is as if someone is reminding you of your natural state of being. And you say, oh, yes, I forgot this was an option. I can move to this resonance. And it's much easier when the frequency is pointed out to you. And that's what the language of light does. It's like someone playing the piano, a note, so that you can sing. It is much easier when it is pointed out than if you were just to pick the note out of thin air. So that's how the language is serving you. Now, the visual component of that is the galactic light code. You can gaze at this code while you listen to the language of light activation. All right, if it's too hard for you to continue gazing at it, then just look at it and then close your eyes and listen. There's nothing that you need to do. You don't need to come back to listen to this unless you'd like to. You can just imagine connecting to the frequencies in your field. All right, so sit back, relax, and we'll see where we go.
As you gaze at the code, imagine what it would feel like to be or to experience the following. In this now moment, I open to infinite patience. My patience is the complete acceptance of the moment. Hita anta kata dura bede bede shkata bede do ende mene bede bede kata bishka la na na u bede 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 do bede bede kata bede shkata atkata u ta bede shkata anta kata ar u bede bede inda ta kata du ta bede bede shkata tai hasa jono ala ara emna he ikuto hisa rolo or bede bede shana na kata o hinda atakata amma mantuko manene tuko to tabede inda kata o ta ala na hai I pita ala a rora abadu ora abade e kata hi sano no ola arabede inda kata no na ebede asho ola ala ale no ona ara atokoto hi sa jon ala ale ebede hi na ana ku ora ar ebede abede intu to ebede beju kata atukora manene wara shkata kata. Take a nice deep breath. Ijuda abede shkata abede beju shkata beju shkata takuta adukote beju shkata inda de do te beju shkata beju shkata inda la wara bara arra bede ebede beju shkata bede de do ra beju shkata tatkata hasa shkata barra beju shkata bede na bede buta beju shkata tatkata bede ebwa bara bede mo manam bui da takata hi pita para bro da hazana na wara barabta bidi shukata dura barabashkati bidi wane bidi shukata dua da tuko to kata bidi shukata hiza jodo dai bidi shukata no na no kata bidi shukata takuta bidi shukata bidi wana kotora hiza shot kata barra shukata bidi pata bidi kata tiki bidi shukata barra bidi barra bidi shukata takata sa shukta Ijo to kata bidi shukata dui bidi shukata bidi kata lo rar pata bidi shukata kata di dua barra hisa shukata.
So there you have it. That's your galactic light code and your language of light activation for patience. Now, typically the guides recommend that you work with the code and the activation 3 times a day for 3 days in a row. Now, this is just a guideline. It's not an absolute. So if you'd like to work with it more or less, by all means, go right ahead. The more we work with it, the more we sit in this energy, the easier it is for us to attune to it. But follow your intuition. You know exactly what's best for you. Now, while these codes and the activation look rather innocuous, they're actually quite powerful. They are a piece of spiritual technology. So pay attention to your body cues. Listen to what your body asks you for. Typically, if you're working with one of these codes, the guides recommend that you make sure that you are honoring your body's needs and making sure that you're getting plenty of water to drink to help move the energy through the body. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this Galactic Light Code and Language of Light activation, feel free to pass it along to a friend. And if you want to know more about Galactic Light Codes and the activations, join us over on higherfrequencies.net. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.
If you enjoyed working with this Galactic Light Code and Language of Light activation, be sure to check out Recalibration and Activation of Your Divine Matrix. This online course begins July 23rd.
For more information, visit us at higherfrequencies.net/divine matrix.